This is one of the earliest American atlases, and it was done by a gentleman by the name of Mathew Carey. Carey was an Irishman originally, and he went into printing business at age 15, which is pretty amazing. Apprenticing, of course. He's from a well-to-do family. He printed various publications that irritated the British. This was immediately after or during the Revolution, and so he fled to Paris and met Benjamin Franklin, who was also in the printing business, and worked for him for a few years before going back to Dublin, getting in trouble again by printing things that the British didn't like, and so he fled permanently to America, where he had contacts like Benjamin Franklin and various people in the new American government. This was the first full American atlas, and it's called Carey's American Atlas. Very simple, with 20 maps and one chart. Is engraved and published by Mathew Carey in Philadelphia in 1795. Price plain $5, colored $6. So this is the $6 and nicely bound version. And this is the maps. This was especially made for one particular wealthy gentleman in Philadelphia, and so the maps, instead of being folding once in a folio size, these fold into a bit smaller, and therefore you could have larger maps and on really good paper. There's the province of Maine. These are in exceptionally good condition. Here is New Hampshire. Should be Massachusetts. No, it's Vermont. And there's Massachusetts. And Connecticut. I'm trying to get down Rhode Island. And here's New York. New Jersey. Pennsylvania, one of the larger states at the time in the north. Maryland. Here's one of the bigger states in this top of the South. Virginia, very, very nice map. This is actually based on Thomas Jefferson's father and his partner map. And Jefferson always had a fascination with geography and mapping because of his father. And then we have North Carolina, which goes all the way to the Mississippi River and shows the marshes in the east. And there you can see there are a few roads here. There is very, very little to the west. Here is South Carolina. The coast is relatively well developed, and then there are very, very large counties up in the north. Georgia, which is, I guess, the largest state in the Union at that time, goes from one coast to what was the western border of the United States, including Alabama and Mississippi. And you notice that they have the Chickasaws, the Choctaws, the Cherokees, all the various Indian nations. In fact, this says country of the Creek Nation Indians. It's an entire area that's mostly Alabama and western Georgia. very, very, very early U.S. Here's Kentucky, which is also mostly Indian country. There's a Jefferson County where Louisville and then Woodford County and a couple of others, but relatively undeveloped. That was still the West. And here we have Tennessee. And this is Tennessee government before it was actually a state. Briefly, it was a matter of months. 1795 and then 1796 it became a state. And here we have light soil, long grass, little timber, broken ground at the heads of these rivers. But down here, where we're on the Forkadere River, right there. The Forkadere, well, Dyersburg is. We're between. We're on a little bit off Forkadere down here in Halls. But when they said there was little timber, some of the biggest timber in the entire United States, the great hardwoods, were right along the river there. They did not know much about. They knew something about the river, but nothing much about West Tennessee because it was Chickasaw country. And we had, see, Tennessee is actually spelled a little bit differently, T-E-N-A-S-S-E, government. It just had been separated from North Carolina. And that is actually the last state. So, and we have South America and, gosh, that's it. But this, it was one of the finest atlases made right after we became a country, and it was done by an Irishman who was a friend of Benjamin Franklin.